Well, again, obviously you don't get that opportunity too often to draft a very special player like Patrick. And again, his play, I think, spoke for itself from the moment that he stepped on the ice. Here you knew you had a special talent from a hockey standpoint. But I think the things for us that you truly don't know and recognize and understand until you get to be around a player for the period of time that we have is that he's a wonderful person. He cares deeply about his game. He cares deeply about the team's game, and he's got a passion to want to learn, passion to want to get better, a passion to want to be the best. And he's a driven individual, and he's a proud individual, and he's a humble individual. And for us as a franchise, it's a big key piece in helping us get to where we want to get to in the long run.
Thank you. In 2014, we didn't even have to ask you. I think you opened the press conference with announcing an extension for Paul Maurice. Mm-hmm. Obviously, with 1 year left, where are you, or have you started negotiations with Paul, and where do you see him going into next year with or without an extension?
Well, we're very early in certainly in that process. Paul Maurice is is the coach of this hockey team, and what, where, how we go to the next steps. Those are things that we'll have discussions as we go. But again, for me, Paul's got my full support. I think I said that back when it was probably at the trade deadline when I was asked similar questions, and I think it really goes to what we've asked Paul to do over his period of time here. And again, this hasn't been something that we've knee-jerked and said, okay, we're going to go in this direction now, or we're going to change and go in this direction. Really, when Paul and I sat down and talked, when he took over the team, we talked about the steps that were going to be necessary in order to build this franchise and continue to push it in the direction that we wanted. And it was really at that point in time, his enthusiasm and his willingness, and I say willingness for a veteran coach, to take on that task and to understand that it wasn't going to be smooth. And there's going to be steps along the way that you'd like accelerated. There's going to be steps along the way that certainly some coaches that maybe aren't as secure in their own skin or belief or where they're at in their careers, wouldn't want to take on. They wouldn't want to maybe take some of the youth, opportunities that we had in front of us, and really, not coach for the best interest of the team. Paul's coached for the best interest of this team and the best interest of the future of this team when, as we've asked them. So what that means for the future, there's going to be other conversations that are going to happen. Today's, certainly it's not a fun day to be standing here, and I'll be obviously talking about that, but again, it is, there are some positives here that, we will look at and we won't maybe relish in today, but we're certainly going to, look and try to build together in that regard.
So you knew that.
Well, again, I think anybody who can manage in hindsight, is a better manager than anybody that's in pro sports. You don't manage in hindsight. You learn from experiences, and you certainly grow from experiences. But you also need to understand that you have to take steps to move forward, and you have to make decisions. You don't sit and try and say, well, I hope, or you make that decision. You surround people with the best opportunities that they can, and again, it's not unlike a player. You have to give them, or a skater. I mean, you have to give them that opportunity to grow. This, the decision that we made to move forward with the goaltending and how we chose to do it this year, it was not done in a vacuum. It was done with lots of conversation within the group, understanding that if we didn't do it at that point in time, that 1 year forward, we would be sitting here today, or tomorrow, I'm meeting at the beginning of the season, and saying, can Connor Hellebuck take us to that next level? Is he going to be that number one? Well, we didn't give him that opportunity to play the games this year. We don't know. Well, we better give him those opportunities in order to find out. we made that decision. We knew within, last year, sitting here at this time or sitting in the summertime, Connor Hellebuck was going to need waivers next year. Obviously the expansion draft comes into play. So you have to make decisions. You have to make choices. We made that choice. We've given him a great opportunity to play more games, I think, than any other player at a young age. And it's incumbent upon him. It's incumbent upon the organization to take those next steps and to grow from those positives, and and grow from the challenges that were there for him personally.
At 23, I mean, of course, there's lots of room for improvement and growth in his game. But are you learning what you've learned this year? Are you comfortable going into next season with Connor as your number one? And as a second part of that question, if you are searching out maybe help or competition, how difficult is it to find that veteran number one goalie that every team that makes long runs to the playoffs, I mean, obviously Pittsburgh was a different example last season, but need that solid veteran number one kind of goaltending to be successful?
Well, every veteran goaltender has gone through these these trials and tribulations in their career, and in order to stay in the league, those veterans have learned how to get better. What direction we choose to go, again, we'll look at all the different options that that are available to us. It's a very unique year in the sense of the expansion draft and the possibilities that no one really knows how those are going to play out. So those are something that you talk about. We will look at a lot of different scenarios to see if there's a chance to push it to move forward, whether it's a veteran, whether it's a young guy. Again, these are things that I can't sit here and tell you in 100% certainty what's going to happen, because there's so many different things that can unfold. But again, we're going to look at all the different options.
Just last one for me. You talk about building that new.
The credit goes to the players. The players, again, they have to take what the coaches are giving and they have to apply it. The players are the ones that need to learn what it's going to take. I need to go to bed at this time so that I can be ready to play. Coaches can give guidance. Players ultimately have to do it. And so I don't think you're gonna, I don't think any one of the coaches would say they're going to take credit for any one individual, and neither should I. When we get fortunate to draft a player in the position that we do, all I can hope for is, and I don't even have to hope, I know that we've done the right preparation and have put them in the proper order, so that given that opportunity to select them, we select them. And I know that when the coaches, given that opportunity, when the player gets the chance to perform, I know the coaches are giving them the information that they need. But ultimately, it's the players, and I don't think you'll ever see a coach that takes credit for that. Mark Scheifele, invested in himself. He went from that 18-year-old kid to the 19-year-old kid to the 20-year-old young man, to the 21-year-old man, to the 22-year-old driver, 23-year-old driver of this team. But again, it's taken him to do that, and the credit goes to him. The credit goes to Jacob Trouba for what he's done. These guys have talent. Coaches are here to help guide them, but ultimately, in the end, the player deserves all the credit.
Also, is there a deadline in your mind where you'd like to get this sorted out?
Well, again, we'll talk about that internally. We'll talk about that collectively. Today, I think the focus is more is that there is no misconception that Paul Maurice is our coach, and how we choose to move forward with it. We'll have some good discussions there, but obviously today is about kind of retrospective, and we'll go from there.
You talked about when you brought him in here and what the ups and downs that you were expecting. From how it's unfolded in these first 3 years, is it within the parameters of what you expected?
Well, I think you're always hoping that the bumps are a lot smoother. You can't. I think there's I've seen some different analogies where people talk about their careers and they think that it's just going to go like this, when in reality the line goes like this. I can't, there's so many things in this game that you can't predict. There's so many things that you just, you don't know. There's challenges along the way that, some of them are professional challenges of players when it comes to their injuries or their own particular play. There is the personal side of the game that does come into play. We've dealt with a few things. You know, but one thing that's always going to remain is that, you know, when there's professional challenges that come, we're going to try and address them head on and either help the player or find different opportunities to try to smooth those challenges out. When there's personal challenges, whether it's a player or coach or anything, we're a family here and we're going to support these people. And you know, for us, you know, again, it's a tight group. It's a group that cares deeply. One thing that I don't think has really been stated as well as needs to be stated is the job that Blake Wheeler did as captain. For me, I thought he did an outstanding job, you know, as captain. You know, being a captain in a National Hockey League team is a very prestigious thing, and Blake, you know, cares deeply. And you know, again, these are days where I wish we could tell you, you know, about how Blake, you know, plays injured or how he does the different things, or you know, you get the injury report from the trainers the night after a game and say, well, Blake took a shot on the foot, you know, no problem for tomorrow. You know, there's very rarely do you see where, you know, we'll evaluate it tomorrow. Like, those are the type of things that, you know, you need out of your leader and you want out of your leader, and the fact that he is one of the premium